Hello, hope everybody's doing okay. Recently, I got asked about body fat scales or BIA scales and how accurate they are. Are they something that people should be using? Should be taking notice of the results? Now, for those of you that don't know, BIA or body fat scales are the scales that you stand on that will give you your weight, your body fat percentage, and how much muscle mass you've got. So this is done through firing electricity through the body, really. Now, it's not a lot. It's not going to electrocute you or anything, but it sends an electrical current through your body, and it will then tell you how much body fat you've got and how much muscle mass you've got. Now, obviously, the electricity passing through water or fat or muscle reads differently, so the little computer inside can distinguish between the two and can then give you some numbers based on what's just happened. Now, first off, we've obviously all done science at school, and electricity obviously travels through the quickest path, doesn't it? So it always wants to get from one place to another as fast as possible. So if we are stood on standing BIA scales, so these are the scales where you just stand on with bare feet, then the electrical current will travel up 1 foot. And let's think about it. It's got to get out again as quickly as possible. So it travels up 1 foot and then straight down the other foot. So it's going to be measuring body fat and muscle mass within your legs, really, not for the rest of the body. Now, everybody can knows probably and can visually see that some people carry weight in different places to others. So obviously you can see that this isn't very accurate. Similar with the handheld ones, you can buy handheld devices too. But again, this will travel through one arm and then straight out again to the other. It's the two closest points, which are from hand to hand, so it will go straight through the other. You can get ones that you stand on and you hold, but again, obviously the lower reading will go up one leg and down the other, and the upper reading will go from one hand straight through to the other. So we're kind of missing out the midriff, which is kind of the main point of it all, I'd guess. So they're just not very accurate in that sense of reading fat mass and muscle mass. So there are a number of issues when it does come to reading as well. So apart from those, obviously water. They don't, ideally you don't want to be drinking anything before you use these machines. You don't want to be eating anything either. You want to make sure that the room's at the right temperature. You want to make sure there's no skin contact. They do recommend that, like, if your thighs touch in the middle, make sure you put a towel in between your thighs. Because obviously if the electricity is travelling at one leg, it'll just cut across a bit more, a bit lower, won't read as much. So there's a lot of reasons and a lot of other things that you've got to get in line before you can actually jump on these scales. So again, it's just not worth it. I've made notes here, by the way. And then also there's quite a massive gap in terms of reading. One particular person, I have got links to research if anybody is bored enough like me to look at them, but one person in particular did a study on this, and in one day, through measuring in the morning throughout the day, he gained 1% body fat throughout the day. Now that is just can't happen. There's no way you'll gain 1% of body fat in a day. So that is how far they are out. Now, in terms of readings, again, there's ranges from 3% up to 8%. Now, this isn't a 3 to 8% difference in the reading. It's actual 3 to 8% in terms of body fat. So if you came out at 10% body fat, it would measure you anything between, let me get my math straight, 2% to 18%. Okay, because it can work in 8% in both directions. So there is a massive hole in there. Plus, with making sure you've not drank and you've not eaten and you've got the room at the right temperature, it's just not viable, really, is it? So in a nutshell, body fat scales, BIA scales, for me, they're just not worth investing in. They're just not worth investing in. Another thing to touch on as well, menstrual cycle for women. That has a big effect on the results too, even bigger than 8%. So there's another one to throw in there. So the best ways of looking at muscle mass and body fat percentages are a water test. So this is where you get weighed underwater, basically. So you get weighed out of water and in water, and there's an algorithm or whatever that works out your body fat percentage and your muscle mass based from those two readings. That is relatively accurate. There are a few discrepancies in that, but again, who's going to have access to something like that? Another one is a DEXA scan. These are quite expensive, I think. So you get laid on like a sunbed, really, clonked in, and it measures you a bit like a CT scan. And then the most accurate way is dissection, believe it or not. So if you really want to know, you have to dissect. Get in there and actually have a look how much body fat there is. So, really, looking at body fat percentages and muscle mass amounts and things like that, it's just not viable, really. And for what the majority of us are aiming to achieve, the best things for us to do are to not even weigh ourselves, are to measure ourselves. All right, so get a measurement around your waist, around your hips, keep measuring those, get the jeans out of the back of the cupboard. If I've got a pair of jeans or a t-shirt or a jumper or something in the back of the cupboard that we've not been able to get into for a long time, if over time you can fit in it, results. Okay, and photographs as well. Take photographs of yourself once every month. You don't want to be doing it too close together, but take a photograph of yourself once every month, and visually you will see the differences. So, in a nutshell, don't bother with body fat scales, BIA scales. Save your money, buy a tape measure instead, and get those jeans out of the back of the cupboard. Okay. Any other questions? Please give me a shout. Hope you're all well, and I will speak to you all very soon indeed.